Campaigners say it's the worst scandal in the history of the NHS, and now a major inquiry is looking into how thousands of patients were given infected blood products during the 1970s and 80s. On Thursday, Mark Ward and his husband Richard from Peacehaven will become the first gay couple to give evidence to that inquiry.
Mark was born with haemophilia and became infected with both the HIV and hepatitis viruses as a child through contaminated blood. Speaking exclusively to this programme, he says he's faced a lifetime of being misjudged and stigmatised, even by people in the NHS. Leanne Lawless reports.
Together, they've been campaigning for justice for decades, and now the time has come for them to share their story with the world.
I was reflecting last week that it's just over a year ago I met many of you at Church House for our preliminary hearings. With sadness, I note that some who were there then cannot be with us here now.
At the age of 3, Mark Ward was diagnosed with haemophilia, a genetic condition that stops the body making blood clots. At the age of 14, he was told he'd been infected with HIV after being given contaminated blood. He says over the years, he feels he's been judged and stigmatised by some people in the NHS.
They've assumed that I've acquired the HIV because I'm a gay man. And when I've then told them, well, actually, no, I was a little boy infected with contaminated blood products, their attitude changes and they become compassionate. And that's the thing that we have to tackle, is the stigma.
Mark and his husband will give their evidence at the public inquiry this week. It's looking at why thousands of people were given blood infected with HIV and hepatitis viruses during the 1970s and 80s, and how their lives and their families' lives have been affected over the years.
When we first go into the hospital as a couple for a review or whatever it is, had we been a heterosexual couple, that couple would have been spoken to, or the other partner would have been spoken to about any risks to them. They didn't want to engage with me as Mark's husband.
There's always, for me, this element of like a shadow, a darkness around me. That's never gone. But for me, I'm alive, so I can speak and tell my story.
There are people that have been in the media in the past, but there are also many that have never spoken out before. And this is really quite difficult, and people really have had incredible courage, incredible bravery, and we just have to salute them and thank them for coming forward.
Mark and Richard say they hope speaking out about their experiences will help change attitudes for future generations.
Well, it's been described as the biggest treatment disaster in NHS history. Up to 30,000 people were infected with contaminated blood during the 1970s and 80s. Thousands contracted HIV and hepatitis C as a result, and around 2,400 of them died. Well, at the opening of the inquiry, it was announced that criminal trials could follow after it concludes. Well, Leanne Lawless joins us now in the studio. So do we know how long, Leanne, this inquiry is likely to last?
Well, no firm timescale's actually been set, because the chairman of this public inquiry, Sir Brian Langstaff, has repeatedly said it will take as long as it needs to take. So there has been estimates that it could last for up to 5 years. And that's because they've got to tackle 3 huge issues. Firstly, why were people infected with contaminated blood? Secondly, how has this impacted on people's lives over the last 30 years or so? And thirdly, they've got to address allegations that there was a cover-up. Now, for Mark Ward, he wants to speak out, yes, firstly to explain how being contaminated with HIV has changed his life, but it's also about explaining to people how the NHS and authorities have treated him since then. He wants answers, but tonight the government have told me they don't comment on individual cases, and they say it's important that this public inquiry runs its full course.
Leanne, thank you.